Throughout history, humans have extended our intelligence through our tools. First, it was language, then writing, then printing presses and libraries and the internet. Each step was a way of pooling knowledge, creating what you might call a collective memory. But then came the age of specialization. We fragmented ourselves. We siloed thinking. We fractured consilience, the unity of knowledge. Experts stayed in their swim lanes, industries wore blinders, and governments divided into tribes. Nobody was looking deeply enough at the whole global system, at humanity's problems on a planetary scale. Yes, the United Nations tried with its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It was a noble attempt. But let's be honest, 40% of the countries represented in the United Nations are actively at war or in hostilities with one another. The United Nations are not united at all. And even if they were, bureaucracies themselves are not designed for planetary scale problem solving. They were built to slow down decisions, to push power upward through hierarchy, to concentrate leadership in the hands of a few. But lone leaders at the top, no matter how brilliant they are a surefire way to mess up humanity. Because here's the truth. No human being, not even the most genius polymath alive, can do the systems level thinking required to fix our globe. We cannot hold all the downstream consequences of every policy, every tweak, every invention, every disruption. We cannot guarantee that everyone's basic needs are met on Earth even. And right now, with 40% of the nations on Earth in conflict with one another, we are already on a direct path to self-extinction. AI changes the equation. AI doesn't just store information though, it synthesizes it. Billions of data points across every field, integrated at speeds no human mind could ever match. Humans bring values, consciousness, lived experiences. AI brings scale, precision, and exponential acceleration. Together, we could finally see the whole system, not just pieces of it. But let's talk about fear. People say, what if AI isn't ethical? And I say, have you looked at humanity's track record? We humans murdered Jesus Christ. We carried out the Holocaust. We assassinated leaders who called us higher. Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, MLK. We bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We unleashed September 11th. We tolerate endless school shootings. We killed off indigenous cultures on every continent. We enslaved millions, trafficked children, and still exploit workers in supply chains today. China bound women's feet for centuries. Then under the one-child policy, they aborted or abandoned their little girls, and now face a generation of lonely men who will never find partners. We've burned our forests, choked our skies, and poisoned our oceans, leaving ourselves with climate chaos, megastorms, floods, and fires. We built economies that extract from the many so the top 1% can hoard wealth. We made healthcare for profit. We built justice for the rich. We designed education to turn kids into robots who memorize, not thinkers who imagine. And we weaponized media to brainwash instead of enlighten. And now, war itself is being waged by drones and machines against human flesh. America's war machine, China's war machine, Russia's war machine, the worst of patriarchy playing out on a world stage. Oligarchs in power pushing buttons while innocent civilians die. If AI is used to amplify this, our lack of ethics, our hunger for dominance, our willingness to kill for politics or profit, then God help us, it will supercharge the very worst of humanity. But if AI can be directed towards integration instead of domination, if it can then amplify ethics and collective intelligence, instead of greed and violence. And then maybe, just maybe, we will have a chance. Because yes, AI is risky, but the status quo is extremely risky too. Trusting humanity alone has gotten us here, into one crisis after another, harming ourselves and the planet over and over and over again. The age of specialization caused this meta crisis. Holistic collective intelligence, true consilience, may be the cure. For the first time, we have a chance to step beyond the limits of our individual minds and create something greater, a planetary intelligence, something that integrates instead of fragments, something that just might be smart enough and fast enough to save us from ourselves. So the real question isn't, can we trust AI? The real question is, can we keep trusting humanity if we don't trust AI?